What's on the front pages? The BNFT this morning reports that vaccination centers in Ashanti benefit from safe disposal of vaccine vials. And the Bank of Ghana moves to localize card payment processing. Independence of DBG must be protected. And IFS urges government to take charge of extractive sector. Cement to hit 60 Ghana cedis per bag if taxes levies are not reviewed. That's what the BNFT is reporting. The New Crusading Guide says Benji Foundation assists the Siakwa steps with Dest and Nanado honest pledge to conjoin twins. You remember that the president had promised that was going to take care of the bill. As Chief of Staff presents check to the Ridge Hospital. 2023 Africa Games, $145 million Boteman sports infrastructure commences. Yesterday, the president cut the short there. GMPC Aker Energy deal. Insta-PR, Pumel's GMPC boss, Dr. KK Sapon, accused of breaching fiduciary law, duty, I beg your pardon. The Finder newspaper, significant minority of Ghanaians optimistic about Akufo-Addo's performance in the next 4 years, according to a CDD report. Also, ignore recruitment scam using my photo on social media. Lieutenant Colonel Apia fires back. $145 million Olympic Stadium commences. And Chief of Staff delivers Akufo-Addo's 14.3 million Ghana cedis to separate conjoined twins. Network challenges hampering smooth COVID-19 vaccine rollout. And if you have not gone for your vaccine yet, take advantage of the rollout that's happening presently. Invasion of streets by child beggars. Are authorities helpless? That's the question we're asking. And I've always said that in the next 10, 20, 15 years, if you like 25 years, your children who are going to the best of schools would have to contend with these ones who have never been to school but want to survive and are hungry. They will come to your homes and pick from them. Join the conversation. SNIT pays 1.66 million Ghana cedis to invalid pensioners. Nana Otuo marks 50 years on the stool. Greater GCGL to help bridge housing deficit. What's the Daily Guide saying? It says, 6 arrested for robbery, murder. I'll work with you on Airbus, other cases. Attorney General to Special Prosecutor. And 1.5 million more vaccines coming. Following the president's visit to Germany, we're told. Nana cut sword for $145 million new stadium, and government plans Rosewood trucks seizure. Okay, what is the Republic Press saying? It says Akufo-Addo scores low in corruption fight report. That's the CDD's report. Man butchers wife to death at Bechile and hangs himself to escape justice. Also, COVID-19, 687 girls return to school with pregnancy. Ebay. Court jails laborer who shot contractor in the palm and abdomen, 24 years. IDEC boss calls for stakeholder engagement, and conjoined twins get president's support. The Chronicle. Government releases 14 million Ghana cedis to perform surgery on conjoined twins. NPP grateful for peaceful conduct of conferences. NDC's People Manifesto didn't shake Akufo-Addo in 2020, according to the CDD's report. Another Nzema chief drops bombshell. Catherine Afeku lied through her teeth, and they've been up back and forth with them. Also, I knew nothing about how 200,000 Marine Drive cash was spent. What is the informer saying? It says, in this issue, MPP Suhum violence, Protozwa states his case. And tenant turns landlord as NDC pushes legal backing for IPAC. Review of 1992 Constitution, of course, it's been on high demand. NDC eats humble pie, finally acknowledges Mills's great and visionary leadership. Focus on ignored extractive sector, Dufour tells government. The Ghanaian Times, Ghana bags $103.4 million from WB to reverse 3 million hectares of degraded land. Second dose of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccination begins slowly in Accra, and NIB begins investigations into importation of rosewood. And COVID-19 vaccination waste, government begins proper disposal of materials nationwide. Finally, Today newspaper, Alan condemns Suhum violence. Why delay with appointment of MMDCEs? The inside story. UG Dawn recommends psychologists for political parties. And those are the front page headlines there on your dailies this morning. And this is TV3 Newday. As always, you join us with your thoughts and comments and we will share them with the rest of the wonderful world on TV3Newday. We are happy to have your thoughts and comments here on the show every now and then. A quick happy birthday to Abena Nyan Techiwa. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Abena, and live long. This from Benjamin Adu in the Ashanti region, our correspondent. Also, a happy birthday to Ni Pakpo Samoa Alote. It's your birthday today, bro. Happy birthday. And Mrs. Lily Ribeiro and Benedicto Forientry, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday on behalf of the wife and children. Happy birthday to you. I've been joined in the studio by Godwin Eduji Tamakro. He's a private legal practitioner. He's a member of the NDC's legal and communication teams. Also, George AUC is the National Communications Director of the National Disaster Management Organization. I nearly said the NPP. Yeah. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Morning.
Are you aiming for that post, George?
It's like asking a teacher whether he aspires to be a headmaster.
Even this one is so difficult because where there's someone already in that role, and you don't know whether the person wants to leave, and you already declare your intention to occupy that position.
I'm a humble servant of the party.
I hear you. Did you hear I'm an executive branch, the chairman of your party, and you haven't told me?
Oh, we would love to welcome you.
But which of the branches?
I don't know. That is why I'm saying that we would love to have such an intelligent man like you to be, a branch chairman.
Because if I'm a branch chairman, benefits will accrue to me, right? So who has been chopping my benefits?
No, the building blocks of the party
are
the branch executives. Remember, the elections are not conducted in NDC headquarters. It is conducted at the branch. And like it is said, all politics is local.
So who used my name to go and register?
For us, our branch executives are really the nucleus around which the building block. And that's why we focus so much, getting some of the best human resources at that level. And so we will be very glad, except to say that I don't know the branch.
But somebody has been using my name or chopping from my account.
We'll have to investigate that. We'll call for the National Investigation Board.
But the truth is, at that level, it's more of sacrifice. More sacrifice at that level. So we entreat all to keep working hard. But I thought you said the Learned Council is a chairman. I didn't know you were saying you.
So one of the questions, and I'll say this briefly before we get into the conversations. In his inaugural speech in January of 2017, the president asked us all to be citizens, not spectators. If you read the 1992 Constitution, you find the duties of citizens and the rights of citizens as well. You will find the duties of the president and the executive as well. And I think that by the 1992 Constitution, I'm only doing my duties. One of the key questions that I've asked, which is why I am being mentioned as an NDC branch chairman, is that I have combed through Act 936, which is the Local Governance Act. I have also combed through Article 240, 241, 242, 243, 244 of the 1992 Constitution regarding our local governance. And I'm saying respectfully to the President, being a lawyer, that I think that there is no provision in those legislations that gives him the authority and the right as a government handing over to itself to ask MMDCs to act 8 months on and be silent on their reappointment or, if you like, choosing them. And I'm saying that on that score, the president is respectfully abusing the executive power granted him by the people of this republic and by the 1992 Constitution. Johnny, if that is why I'm NDC, I'm happy.
Johnny, it has been suggested that that portion of the inaugural speech where the president said we should be citizens and not spectators, where they plagiarized portion, and that he does not believe in those ones.
That's why I don't know. Because you get charged from my president. Let's not believe about this.
No, my brother here would agree with me that for a democracy to flourish, it's not about unanimity. It's about the ability to even hold leadership to account. If we are not interested in this democratic experiment, let's go back to our traditional setup. Even in our traditional setup, you recall that there are times when disputes come before our chiefs. They will say, we are going to see Abrewa and come. what it means is that all knowledge is not in the head of one person. If not, the chief would just sit there and say, this is my verdict, go. He said, look, we are going inside to see Abrewa and come. All this one to show you that consultation, divergent view are always important, even in our cultural and traditional setting. How much more in a democratic society? I mean, so those ones we can
Johnny,
say
we are fine.
Johnny, in as much as the president had said, be a citizen and not a spectator, he means it. If you're doing research, your thesis and people you cite, authorities you cite, is because you believe them.
Right.
You may read 3-4 opinions relating to the issue, but you cite a particular
And you reference them appropriately.
You cite that because you believe in what they said. And the second one,
but you attribute.
You say?
You attribute. What do you attribute? Happy birthday to Mr. Stephen Pem. It's your birthday today. You're 66. Happy birthday to you. Let's begin the conversation quickly on the why the MMDCs have delayed. And I've asked that question. Maybe you give us a legal perspective, Counsel. I'm saying that with my lay mind, I've combed through the Act and combed through the Constitution. I've not seen it. We have been told by many people, including the MPP's General Secretary, that, well, 1 week after the President returns from Germany, we will get the list. I've been wondering if it's the General Secretary's place to be telling us that. The Director of Communication of the Presidency has also said that the absence of legitimate MMDCs is not hampering progress at the local level. Then again, we know that earlier in January, the MMDCs had been ordered by the Chief of Staff to go and act on behalf of the President, but not take critical decisions, including policy decisions. So I don't know what your thoughts are on this one. 2 minutes, and then we'll move on to the CDD's report.
As you are aware, the
MMDCs.
Yes, as you are aware, my learned senior, the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Southern constituency, the Honourable Roxanne H.A. Dafiamepo, is before the Supreme Court on this vast issue relative to the President's power to appoint acting MMDCs. Now, he contends that if you read the overall constitutional architecture, there's what you call an approval process for an MMDC.
Right.
And so if the president is given that power to appoint, a president may decide to appoint an MMDC for the next 4 years and say he's acting. And so there's a mischief in the Constitution that we need to cure. Not to permit a president to appoint someone acting in perpetuity, because then it defeats the approval processes provided for in the Constitution. Because you see, an MMDC can only assume proper authority if it's approved.
By two-thirds majority of the Assembly.
Exactly. And so you see there are instances where the president nominee goes, he's rejected, the president takes it back, he's rejected,
After three times,
then a new person.
He cannot come here.
Now, if you permit a president to put people in there to act, a president may decide. It may not be Mr. Akufo-Addo, it could be anybody. Now decide that because I may not get the approval threshold, I'll put somebody to act forever.
I see. If that is the case, then the president cannot also appoint, if you like, nominate an MMDC, get two-thirds majority to confirm him, and then subsequently say, I have relieved him of his job.
Absolutely.
It must take the Assembly to say, we have no confidence in you, so we are casting a vote of no confidence.
The Constitution creates more like a bifurcation. The appointment can be done with the approval, but the removal can be done by me.
Okay.
Do you get it?
But how is that? Because if
at least as we speak, that is the current constitutional arrangement.
But I'm saying that if I nominate you, and then all the staff here approve you, then now I come and say I have taken you off. I have not.
No.
It's just like the members of parliament voting for a speaker. And then the speaker is removed without the.
Let's look at it this way. Ministers require the prior approval of parliament to hold that position, but their dismissal is done by the president.
I see.
So that is the
That
kind
is the
of
order.
scenario that you have.
George, why has the list delayed? That's the minds question on Ghanaians' minds.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning to you. Good morning to council. Good morning to our viewers. The delay in the appointment of the MMDC. I disagree with you when you said for 8 months nothing is done about it. Something has been done.
What has been
about
done?
it. The processes have been gone through, and now it's on the table of His Excellency the President. There's been a committee, which committee is gone, done the vetting, gone around the whole country, and is shortlisted. And so, out of the shortlisted, the President is going to choose who to be his representative there. And so something has been done.
I'm not saying that processes have not been done. I'm saying that development has not happened. Because by the way the assembly works...
the way you couched the statement...
No, by the way the assembly works...
Yes.
I'll
come to that.
The assembly members will have to take a decision.
Yeah.
It will be presented to the executive committee, which is chaired by the MMDCE.
Yeah.
And then he will go and present it to the General Assembly.
Good.
When they take a decision, he will have to come back and implement.
Good.
Now, the man or woman has been told not to take a policy decision. So what is he going to implement?
Because he's in an acting position.
Right. But so what is he going to implement? For 8 months, what have they implemented?
So that is a legit question that you're putting across, and we all need to debate.
But that's why I'm NDC.
Yes, I agree. No.
That's why they say I'm an NDC.
No, that doesn't make you an NDC. You've read the Local Government Act and Co. And I was happy when Council also said, from what the two of you have said, it doesn't tell me that the President is acting or contravening the position of the Constitution. The Constitution has given the presidency certain leeways. For instance, number of ministers. It's not there, it's silent. And so if you decide to appoint God knows what, you go. And when timelines for the appointment of DC, I think in any review, we ought to do that.
Right.
We ought to tie the hands of the President that in the first 6 months or in the first 5 months or 4 months should be better. Appointments of MMDC should be done. Right. I agree with people who are saying it's like we've delayed too much. 8 months is a bit worrying. But as my General Secretary told all of us, reassured us that 1 week after the return of His Excellency the President, the list is likely to be out. So let's hinge on that and hope that...
Is the President back? Oh, it's because of the 1 week, so that I can start.
Anyway,
so that I can start.
I would say
so people who are calling for this, I, as a citizen, think they have every right.
Is the president back?
To call for
the president
this.
is back, right?
So maybe I'll check it.
You check.
I'll check it.
But yesterday he cut short, right?
No, I want to get a confirmation so that tomorrow.
So that I start counting.
A week from.
I hear you.
I'll
Now,
check it.
Akufo-Addo scores low in corruption fight report. That's according to the CDD. It's a story written by Don Dafia Mapo. It says research conducted by the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, has revealed that the majority of Ghanaians are not confident in the ability of the Akufo-Addo government to protect the country's financial resources and curb corruption in the next 4 years. Details of the report indicated that 62% of Ghanaians said the government cannot curb corruption and impunity by government officials. The respondents said that they are also less optimistic about the administration's ability to reduce crime. Council, you have seen the CDD's...
I thought that the report is about government, so he will speak to it.
But he just finished speaking.
Oh,
okay. Okay, so then let me bridge it.
At least so he can defend.
So let me bridge it.
I don't know if
Here's Peter McMenu. Here's Peter McMenu ahead of the 2020 elections. Chairman Peter McMenu had debunked an earlier report by CDD that we had lost 9 billion to 9 million, I beg your pardon, to corruption. And I had asked questions whether or not we can have a figure as to how much we have lost. That figure has not come, but he debunked it. We'll take that back to back with Mr. Alex Segwefie's reaction to the CDD's report as well. So first, Mr. Peter McMenu.
If you look at the hula baloo people are talking about, and you look at the survey results, you will be amazed. I mean, look at what people are saying. It means that there's so much propaganda than the actual work that's going on. That's the way I see from the result. And we must look at actuals than propaganda.
interesting. I don't know whether they give it to us, but to know what the questions were. Because certain questions elicit certain answers. And so, but they have been doing it a while, so we like to trust the fact that these are the results. But can I commend CDD for what they've done? And we are waiting for the final report to come out, along with all the, if possible, some juxtaposing on the previous reports. We've always said that, and I don't want to get, but we feel there's a culture of impunity when it comes to government officials. And the more that happens day in, day out, the more issues occur. When violence occurs during elections, people have behaved in a certain way and no actions are taken, then how would Ghanaians feel confident that corruption will be dealt with? So I think that is, it goes without saying. And don't forget, things have happened even since, which were not captured in this survey. So to be interesting, I mean, that is one aspect of the survey which should not surprise.
So that's Alex Sebefia and Peter McMahon there. George, it's only fair that you start this conversation.
It's okay. No, I got no problem with
now,
this.
the report says that confidence is low in your government's ability to fight corruption and to curb crime. What is your response?
Thank you, Johnny. Yes, the issues of corruption, we all know, are measured by a perception index. And two, I must commend the CDD. It's a very thorough work they did. I'm so excited about the way they went about it, covering all the 16 regions and the demographics, the youngest being 18 and the oldest being 102 years. And so it is a well-spread research they did. And two, surveys and co are feedbacks to government, especially if you are in government. You need to listen to the findings. That's the people's mind that they are putting about your government. The perception is that about 62% going forward, okay, in this administration, the next 4 years, don't believe we can have a handle or we can fight corruption the way we say we want to do. It's telling, to be honest with you. It's telling. And I think we have done a lot of policy decisions, resourcing anti-corruption agencies to be able to function and perform and do very well. We've established OSP and all that. And yet, the people across 62% think our commitment is not.
What makes you think, I mean, that, what makes them think that, I should say?
No. It's one. My campaign manager has put it right, that propaganda is part, but you don't only blame propaganda.
Okay.
We are in government. Now, there are certain decisions that we've taken that didn't go down well with the general public. For instance, if there's a committee set up, okay, and then the findings of the committee exonerate some people, and yet the report is not put in the public domain, it doesn't give a good pointer to your commitment to fighting corruption. And unfortunately, we've seen some of these things, right?
For example?
I don't want to mention any example. You can help me, okay? But I think the boss case is, I don't know whether anybody, I haven't seen that. So we came in, I believe my government shouldn't be indicted on the boss matter seriously. Okay. But then if the report had been made public, we would have seen, you get it. And there are other ones too that people have heard. There's been a committee, let me say PDS too. Right, I think I'm yet to get, I personally sitting here, I don't see serious corruption, any corruption thing in PDS. Okay. But there is some misjudgment and co on the part of the managers in the process. And so if there's a committee and a report is, gotten, it should be put in the public domain. So if you don't do this, it's part of the resourcing and the bold steps you are taking, people will begin to have worries that, the person, and again, let's be factual and fair to the process. The expectation that the Ghanaian people had in the president, as far as the no-nonsense attitude of corruption is, you get it. It's like, people thought any report or something, maybe we may not even investigate anything, okay? But the president is a lawyer, and he believes everything we need to give a fair opportunity to others. But when you finish, what has been the outcome? You get it. And so when this happens, then there's a challenge as far as the perception index is concerned.
Okay.
And so I believe that is what, and I think it's a feedback to us as a government. Let's take it serious, okay? And I know my leaders have accepted this and are taking it serious. Let's look at it. Why is it that in spite of everything we are doing, okay, the people still believe we are not going to
But this is
fight
not the
corruption
first
the
time
way
the CDD has spoken about
we ought to
corruption
fight, yes.
in this light.
Yes.
For this government.
Yeah.
If you say now that you are taking indication from it and as feedback, what
It's
did you,
always been so.
What did you do with the first one, which is why the case keeps deteriorating?
Oh, where it's been implementing of, I told you the former Auditor General has also admitted that we've resourced them very well and all that. And so it's an ongoing, and the surveys keep coming. And so if the situation is not better than previously, it means even though the steps you are taking, one, it's not resonating well with the people and getting the response that it needs. But Johnny, let me make small this thing here.
Okay.
If you look at the survey, you see Ghanaians' policy priorities needing government's attention and cool. Now, if you look at this 62% thing, so I measure it with the position or the weight that is put on corruption as far as the survey is concerned. Okay. And from this, the top priorities, 57%, are talking unemployment issues. Infrastructure and roads, 36%. Education, 36%. Management of the economy, 32%. Health, that's the top 5, 19%. Corruption is about 8%. Okay. So it tells me something.
That.
Yes, corruption, we need to fight it and cool, but the people's focus is not much about corruption, okay? It's about other things, unemployment number one, okay? So, yes, we need to fight and do everything to lower, because if corruption is not fought head on, resources that ought to be made available for the jobs to be created will be affected, okay? And so the weight I'll put on it may not be as much as unemployment, but we in Ghana put a lot of emphasis as far as the propaganda and the public space discourse is concerned on corruption, so much. But this survey tells me that is not how the average Ghanaian looks at it.
Is that happening because the MPP made a big meal out of corruption ahead of the 2016 election? Which
you cannot discount that. You cannot discount that.
So the expectations are high.
Yes, the expectations are high, and we are making the efforts. But it's like they feel we should do more than we are doing. Okay, they feel we should do more than we are doing. And what it tells me again is that the tagging of our people as corrupt and co is gaining currency amongst the people, whether propaganda or not. Okay, so the onus is on us as a government, and I know my leaders are going to do that, to come out in the public domain and to state the facts, the allegations that are being made. For instance, last I had the privilege of speaking to one of the ministers in the finance ministry on the issue of the 636 million, my good former speaker of the UCC Council, Mintar Kando, UCC Parliament, Mintar Kando, yes, put out there. It turns out, no, that's not the facts. But when tomorrow my learned counsel is chronicling corruption issues, they will add it. You get it? They'll add it. And so let's, as government, be up and doing on this issue of getting message and information to the public.
We also, and you have mentioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor. This is my final question to you, then I'll go to counsel. Now, you are mentioning the Special Prosecutor's Office as an achievement and a step in fighting corruption, correct?
Yeah.
Now, in appointing the former Special Prosecutor, Mr. Martin Amidu, the President gave a very flowery description of the man and touted his achievements. And then subsequently, the man would do a voluntary corruption risk assessment on the Ejapa royalties deal. In that report, Mr. Martin Amidu states emphatically that he does not see willingness of the President to fight corruption today or in the future, which seems to be the tone that some Ghanaians in the CDD reports are expressing now. Mr. Martin Amidu says, the President said he doesn't regret appointing Mr. Martin Amidu. But the man says his mind about the President fighting corruption has not changed. What do you say?
I disagree with Martin Amidu.
That's exactly what Ghanaians are saying.
Don't worry. The Honorable Martin Amidu, to me, forgive me, viewers and co, forgive me. I thought he was trying to play an advantage for his political party at the tail end of his visit, because he realized he couldn't take up the challenge. I'm sorry that he acted a bit lazily and incompetently when he was given the opportunity. Even setting up the structure itself to fight corruption was a problem when resources had been made available.
Said he was not given a chance to perform.
I don't get that. Resources have been made available, set up the structure, and co. It's a problem. But ultimately, when he did his corruption risk assessment, he made certain things which were indicting on certain individuals. And the individuals, and then he willingly sent it to the president, and he wasn't compelled by any law. You get it? But he sent it to the president to look at it. He looked at it and said, oh, these conclusions you've come to, have you spoken to Johnny Hughes? Hypothetical.
Right.
Have you spoken to Johnny Hughes on his side? He said, no, it's corruption risk assessment, so he doesn't. I said, well,
but he made a point also
so
about...
why then do you jump into such conclusions?
But he made a point also about Deputy Finance Minister Charles Dubois, in that he had usurped his powers and did the work of the chief director, broking the Financial Management Act and all of that.
Good.
Mr. Dubois has been reappointed. Don't you think that fuels the people's perception about corruption?
But Martin Amidu's risk assessment, what is the position? Because we felt he didn't do it the way it ought to be done.
Okay.
He didn't give opportunities to certain people.
Okay.
If you had listened to them, some make the argument...
It's only Ken Oforiatta who's saying that he was not given the opportunity. Mr. Dubois is not complaining.
Yeah, no, but his boss is spoken. So, but do you know whether the Leonard Martin Amidu, former Attorney General, spoke to the Minister of State?
If I make an allegation about you and I'm not giving you a chance to respond, you will speak up, won't you?
Oh, it's not everybody who will do that.
Okay.
You know, let me give you a simple thing. Our own Charles Bisu. Did you see him every day, everywhere, talking about
Let's go
but
to
now
council.
the facts are coming out and he's speaking.
Let's go to council. Council, so this is what the CDD is saying. What do you say to this report?
I strongly believe that the findings of the CDD report, in some respect, understated the extent of graft, corruption, and the mismanagement of the financial resources of this country.
Why
now,
do you
to
say so?
put the numbers at a little over 62%, for me, is an understatement of the extent. The numbers are higher than that. Look, like we said, corruption had become a beauty pageant under this administration. Look, as we speak, the Auditor General's report for 2020 is out. Table 2 provides a comparative analysis of the findings, irregularities, among other things. It says, for instance, that in 2016, December, the overall cost of irregularities was 718 million Ghana cedis. Now look at the scorecard, 2020 December. 12.8 billion. 12.8 billion. That is the volume of irregularities. The cost.
But civil servants are also in the mix.
No, I'm not
disputing
disputing it, but I'm saying under the watch of President Akufo-Addo, this is the scorecard. Now, what is even more interesting is that the overall cost of Agenda 111 projects is a little over 1.6 billion, correct?
Yeah.
1.6 billion in CD term, should be giving us about 12 to 11 billion Ghana cedis. So if financial irregularities, among other things, alone is about 12.8 billion, it means that we have the capacity internally to even fund this project if we curb the incidence of corruption. So the issue of corruption is a huge matter. And that is why I find a comment by Peter McMahon to be regrettable.
Are you not playing propaganda with this?
No, to
corruption
suggest that the NDC is playing propaganda with this serious issue It's regrettable, and I'll demonstrate to you.
The council irregularities.
Just a minute. Just a
Allow,
minute.
allow him.
Just a minute.
Allow him. He was very quiet for you, so.
See, 27th October 2020, the Shraj came out with a report on ABAJ. Who is ABAJ? ABAJ was the appointee of Mr. Akufo-Addo to head the Public Procurement Authority, the agency tasked to ensure proper use of our financial resources. Shraj found as a fact that within 2017, till the time when he was asked to proceed on leave, the amount of money that passed through his account was 30 million Ghana cedis. I have with me the report. It's about 188 pages. That is the amount of money that passed through his account. Now, when Shraj asked him to provide the source of the over 30 million that passed through his account, he could not. In fact, Shraj found as a fact that whilst he was the PPA boss, his company appeared before him when he was a director of the company. So this propaganda. The 500 excavators missing, is it propaganda? Yes. PDS, as we speak, the FTI consulting report found as a fact that whereas Parliament approved that the promoters of PDS should provide a bank guarantee more secured and weightier, at a meeting at the office of the president, chaired by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, a decision was taken to change the bank guarantee to insurance guarantee.
Was it not the same government that pulled the plugs on PDS and said that he had identified fraud in it?
No, as we speak, over 200 million Ghana cedis, dollars, that's over 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, are still with the promoters of PDS. What is even more curious?
You're saying the monies have not been retrieved?
Yes. What is
How did you know this?
No, at the Parliamentary Vetting Committee, the issues came up. What is even more curious is that the insurance guarantee that was provided, do you know that whereas the investor was supposed to push in money into PDS, do you know what they did? The electricity paid by you and I, that is what they recycled to pay for the insurance guarantee.
Conditions, precedents, and subsequent.
It matters not. It is our money. It's like I'm selling a car. You want to buy the car. Then you say, no, give me the car to go and use it. Once I pick passengers, I'll use the proceeds from picking passengers to now come and pay you.
It's called work and pay.
What work and pay? That was not the arrangement. And so government of Ghana has given our prize asset, like ECG, quote unquote, like in your words, on the work and pay arrangement. I mean, how in God's name can we do this to this republic? So Peter McMahon, with respect to you, the issues of corruption is not a matter of propaganda. Look, the president, in his, one of the IEA debates, said he was going to use the ANAS principle in fighting corruption. Correct.
And he has been using it.
In fact, when ANAS found that his own appointee, a presidential staffer, and the secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Galamsey, Mr. Charles Bissiou, was found on video, correct? What became of that?
The matter was referred to the police for investigation.
And do you know the basis on which the police cleared him?
No, you tell me.
The police said they asked Anas for the raw footage, he didn't do it, and so they have cleared him. Nothing more, nothing else. And Anas said, look, I am more confident in the work of the special prosecutor, Martin Amidu, and so I'm not going to give you the raw footage. That is it. Look, the many scandals that have happened. And you see, sometimes when our friends speak, they say, oh, the president is a lawyer.
Of course he is. You can't take that
and
from
so
him.
He wants due process.
And that is right, is it not?
You see, this is a president whose idea of fighting crime is to hold his political opponents before the courts of this country and tout it as achievement of fighting corruption.
But if you have not found, like you say, a prima facie, like you lawyers say, a prima facie against somebody, how do you start dealing with the person?
As we speak, the police had finished their investigation on PDS and submitted to the Attorney General in 2019. Almost 2 years. Nothing had happened. Is it because the principal promoters of the PDS are persons associated with the MPP? So the point I'm making is that if you claim you are fighting crime, the most convenient thing to do is to put your political opponent before the courts. If you are serious about fighting crime, you start from in-house. It's like a man whose, excuse my language, kids are sport, and he's all over advising other parents on parenting. That is Akufo-Addo.
President Akufo-Addo.
Yes, he's lost control of his government. Look at what happened.
But the president disagrees with that. You see, and the president disagrees with that he still has his eye on the ball. He is cracking the whip to the best of his ability.
In fact, look, the verdict...
And he's working at
Johnny, let's be serious here. Our president, at this point, as someone will say, has become lame duck. He's lost control. The country is on autopilot.
But you can't put all of these losses, for example, recorded in the Auditor General's report in terms of tax abuse, payment irregularities, cash irregularities, at the doorstep of the president. Because there are civil servants who are taking their bath this morning to go and deal with the issues, and they are not doing...
In the past, we never drew a distinction between corruption by civil servants and corruption by politically appointed persons. Look, the MPP created the impression that whatever happens under your administration, you are responsible. In any case, it's a question of leadership. When this Sputnik V scandal broke up, the president had an opportunity, having imprisoned other people through prosecution by his Attorney General, okay, for breaches of the Procurement Act, among other things. When it was clear that his own Minister of Health had breached the Public Procurement Act and the Constitution, what did the president do? When he went to Bono, he rather made mockery of the whole episode. So I am saying that the president's body language and his words are moving in opposite directions.
Can we say that the president perhaps is waiting for Parliament to reconvene so that Parliament, the meeting of the whole in Parliament, can take a decision on the subcommittee in Parliament, then the president will follow that cue and act?
The issue of the breach of the Procurement Act, the act makes it an offense as well, right? In the past, the president did not wait for other committees to work. He asked the CID to investigate, the BNI to investigate. The Attorney General quickly preferred criminal charges against those individuals and put them before our courts. As we speak, can you imagine that a president whose appointees have engaged in pervasive breaches of the Public Procurement Act still has the audacity to be prosecuting former government appointees in our courts? Okay. So the CDD report, to my mind, vindicates the reality, except that it understates the extent of it.
What would have been your score?
By now, it should be in the region of 85%.
You're a wicked person.
No, we are on the cliff. The country is... Look, I have heard my senior brother here talk about the fact that, look, one of the achievements is that they have resourced anti-corruption or graft-fighting institutions. Look, what is the point of giving resources to the Auditor General and undermining him in performing his duty?
Okay, let George have a second back.
When the Auditor General, Domelevo, did his work on Kroll, it became the basis on which the government started hounding him.
His age was in question.
Do you know that as we speak, the president had a problem with the 60-year-old Auditor General? Correct? The president,
he didn't have a problem.
Please, I'm coming. The president had just appointed a 77-year-old man as the executive director of IOCO. So if you have a problem with 60-year-old...
But it wasn't the president. The president was acting on the recommendations of
Which
the board
recommendation?
chair of the audit service.
Please,
Professor
please.
Diaz says
The Constitution.
Professor Diaz says that, and he said that, look, the man is a civil servant.
Can I tell you something?
He's gone past 60.
Please, can I tell you
yes,
something?
I'm just giving you the
No,
basics.
I am telling you something. The duplicity of that arrangement. Professor Ajimandia, right?
Yes.
Was the chair of the audit service.
That's right.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, at the time when you were the chair of the audit service, he was at the same time the secretary to a committee put together by Osafo Mafo at the presidency to audit agencies.
And what's wrong?
No. So he knows that per the Audit Service Act, he cannot interfere in the audit function of the Auditor General.
Right.
So he has to use the back door, create an amorphous committee, and now target former government appointees in the name of audit. Because definitely,
This is an allegation. I
No,
can't
it's not an
confirm.
allegation. It is that committee that did the report on Maslock, Ghana Gas. So it was a targeted hatchet job.
I hear you. Let's
Unless you don't know.
Putting his expertise
let
on
George,
that.
Unless you don't know.
George,
Disposal of the
George,
basic.
would you respond to this?
Oh, yeah,
because he has
yeah.
made a very scathing allegation
What? On
that,
the
that you're
Kroll
using
Associates?
backdoor means to target people.
No.
Maybe start
He's
from
not
there.
giving us
That's a lie.
any. He's not giving us any basis for that. The fact that
Can I
he's a
provide?
secretary.
No, I'll
30
the
seconds.
fact that-
30
Okay,
seconds.
so he wants to-
Just
George,
30
hold on.
seconds. It is this committee now procure the services of Bafwewa and Associates. Procure the services of Morrison and Associates to audit specific NDC appointees.
Oh.
Fact.
For example,
and this
who?
Maslock,
Okay.
Ghana Gas,
And what's
all
wrong
these
with that?
were done by them.
And what's wrong?
While the Auditor General is there. Because
wrong with that?
obviously people want a certain audit outcome.
Oh, how?
They want expedition. The president said he was in a hurry.
That is why we are paying
Okay, let me
Auditor General the staff.
let me
George,
come on
take
the
a second
issues.
bite on
Yeah,
this
my
one.
brother-
So he says that
Yes.
CDD should have scored you lower
No,
in terms of
listen.
the corruption
Yes,
ranking. That's
yes.
one. And he has gone on to state a plethora of instances that suggest that the government is corrupt. And that under your watch, we have lost 12 billion.
It's part of the propaganda.
12 billion cedis.
Johnny.
Well, but 12 billion cedis confirmed by the Auditor General. So,
Irregularities. What is an irregularity? Let me tell you one. Misappropriation is an irregularity when an auditor is there. What is misappropriation? I'm saying that they say I should take one city to buy this rich
Okay.
Now, I need to get this water.
Okay.
The money for the rich cap is not in. I use the the money for Richoko is in, but the water money is not in.
Okay.
And yet people need the water now. So if I use the Richoko cap money to buy this, it's misappropriation.
but people have been jailed for that. In the
Good. It's misappropriation, right? And yet, when this one came, they put it back. Okay? But as of the time of auditing, so they will account that as a misappropriation.
But there's
even
also-
though there's evidence that it's been brought back. But as of the time of the auditing, that had not been brought back. Then another
No, so
issue.
hold on for me. And this is the second bit, so I'll do some questions. The first bit,
Yeah,
I allowed you
okay.
both to flow. So
Okay.
the second bit, I'll do
No
some
problem,
questions.
no problem.
In the Auditor General's report, for example, the local government service,
Yeah.
it says that some people made withdrawals.
Yeah.
Withdrawals from accounts
Yeah.
without authorization.
Good.
How do you explain that one too?
No, so the people, when after auditing, there's a query, right? So the query is where the alleged culprit gives his side of the story.
Right.
And when the auditor or auditor general is not satisfied with the response, he incorporates it in his final report to be brought up. And so if you've done withdrawals without authorization, you need to account for it. That officer, I am one person who says the Public Accounts Committee, when you're going there, I have a problem with, do you know why?
Why?
As of the time a certain expenditure was done, these withdrawals without authorization were done, Johnny. The chief executive, as of this time, as of the time, wasn't the one appearing before the PAC to answer those questions. Why? The new officer is the one that is brought. And then they are able to get a
But it's an official capacity.
Yes.
Allow me.
Because most
but
of
it's an
them
official capacity.
Yes, but you see,
And
what
crime does not expire.
No, yes, but Georgia, you see, was the officer in charge when those expenses were made. Why don't you call him before this thing to, and he's alive. Bring him to answer. Then the new CEO will complement whatever it is based on the records before him.
Okay.
You get it? Then people. Now let me touch on two things. In 2015 or 16, Ise Legon made a finding that over 9.3 billion were going waste as a result of these kind of irregularities and co. Ise. Okay? What happened? Does it mean the then president was corrupt?
He promised to do better.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that certain
And they have done better
irregularities
with
and co. There are those problems that we need to look at. And Charles issue and Anas issue, the latest things. You see, I have also had problems, and Kennedy Japan was all out for certain reasons. Okay, now Charles issue's number 12. There was this woman in a cage at the stadium, was working the GFA, who somebody gave 20 CDs to, was captured. You think the woman would take bribe 20 CDs for whatever? Okay? And then his voice over indicts this woman. Some payments were made to Charles Bisu from Chamawun to me for Western region. And is given and then captured. And you don't know the reason why the money, I made the argument, if Johnny gives me money here, do you know the reason why he gave me that money? And you capture it on tape and you conclude that it's corruption, he's bribed me. What is it? Maybe he wants me to give this money to his cousin that is in my office. Okay. And you conclude because it's on tape, it's corruption.
How do you explain, for example, the video by Mr. Usi and Professor Frimpong Boateng, where he recorded and said that people have concessions now, Party Hiasika, the Galamsey excavators have been missing. That's an ANAS principle as well. How do you explain that one? Help us explain.
Let me tell you. I know Akko. He's a good friend. Let me tell you something. That video, was something that, forgive my choice, I'm going to be too hard.
Okay.
But
on who?
My deduction is it was a blackmail video.
On who? Blackmail on who?
People went to the office. You saw the direction of the conversation. Somebody was trying to elicit certain line of conversation for a purpose.
So who was
okay?
Who was
so you know the people
listen.
Listen. The people at that meeting.
Look at the basis.
I need to get an answer.
No, George.
I need to get an answer. I need to get an answer.
Your constituency chairman.
I beg you.
Yes.
Your constituency chairman.
They are all my friends. I know them.
So who did the recording?
Yes, one of them did that. One of them did that recording.
It was an MPP meeting.
Allow me.
And I'm telling you, no, it wasn't an MPP meeting.
George,
let me tell you.
I need this answer from you.
Yes. It wasn't an MPP meeting.
Who was trying to blackmail who in that video?
I can't tell, but people were trying to get Professor Boateng, from Paul Boateng, into something.
Who was in that room?
Allow me. Ekwa was there. Okay. Chairman was there. That's Koyado.
Yes.
Yeah, I told you they are my friends. And I think there was another person there. You get before Prof himself.
Yes.
And you look at the conversation.
And it's an MPP meeting.
Oh, please.
It's not MPP meeting. If I go to visit a minister and I have a tape on me, secret this thing to record him, and I engender a conversation and he throws that line, then I achieve what I want.
So, George, what were they trying to gain by blackmailing the old man?
No, the issue of this thing, excavators, an issue relating to, you get it. So I don't know who wanted to achieve what. Okay, there was a challenge of excavators not being properly accounted for and all that. And so the professor even wasn't in tune with the kind of conversation they were bringing up. I said, have you seen the general secretary?
Johnny,
okay, there's a concession. There's a party here.
Because I can see you are rolling.
Those things. You get it?
30
so
seconds.
I thought it was a deliberate blackmail approach.
I just want to read 30 seconds from the SRAD report. The evidence also established a pattern of movement of large volumes of cash through the respondent's bank account between March 2017 and August 2019. Quote, the respondent could not offer satisfactory explanation to the source of that huge volume of cash that passed through his bank account between March 2017 and August 2019.
He answered.
So this is the finding.
Multiple streams of income.
30 million.
He said that.
30 million Ghana.
Was selling contracts.
No, that one had been, we saw evidence. But he said he has multiple streams of income.
I hear you.
Okay.
George
So
is the National Communications Director of the National Disaster Management Organization,